This is Bill Anders, an engineer, Air Force pilot, NASA astronaut, part of the Apollo 8 crew that orbited the moon. Confined to a ridiculously small cone-shaped space capsule with tiny windows, he took this picture for all of us, Earthrise. He was a disciplined, regimented, precision-oriented, going-by-the-numbers kind of guy. Anything but an artist or a poet. Nobody could have prepared him for this awesome sight. But Bill Anders didn't need an art lesson in aesthetics or the unique context to comprehend the meaning of what he saw. I have experienced awe-inspiring beauty in nature. These are rare moments, precious gifts, that are particularly moving and dramatic. If you are the only spectator in the grand theater, and you feel that this thing was specifically staged for you to communicate something, the beauty of creation touches us directly and stirs our soul. We don't need an interpreter. How about the drama of witnessing the birth of your child, and you stand there with teary eyes and snap the pictures? You can pretend that you're a co-creator, but deep inside you know that you're just a bystander and you're witnessing something much bigger than the actual event. Well, here is something less dramatic, but just as formative. This is Nö. He is not a cute, furry, decorative item. He is a barely domesticated, dedicated predator, hardwired to catch small prey. Form follows function, and his perfect design makes him fascinating and beautiful. We don't understand each other. We keep gazing at each other, and it's hard to tell what I see in his wild eyes. But I know that they are the mirrors of his soul. There is something where our species shines. Talented artists create art that moves and stirs the human soul just like nature. These are very rare individuals. They're conduits and messengers. They channel something for us that opens a window to the beyond, the transcendent. The biggest deal for us ordinary folks is that when we look at a masterpiece in painting or sculpture, words don't get in the way of our understanding, and the most complex ideas in our lives become clear and accessible. We see it, we get it, even if we don't quite find the words to describe what has dawned on us. Visual art does a lot of things for us. It's a good for everything Swiss Army knife of conveying meaning for a good reason. How many people would read through a Dostoevsky novel? Try to sell a millennial on watching 4 hours of Dances with Wolves. Theater, ballet, opera, live performance of a symphony. Visual art has two advantages. It has non-verbal immediacy and ubiquity. It's everywhere. There are many articles discussing the function of art, listing all the wonderful things it does. Here it is. My list would be probably slightly different from these. But when it comes to art, I have a non-negotiable expectation. It has to say something positive. I want to be elevated, enriched, intrigued, awestruck, moved to tears, energized, recharged and soaring. I want to have a buzz and new ideas swirling in my head. I want to be transformed and see things in a different light. I don't want to be depressed by dark nihilism or other bleak garbage. Visual art can be commercialized, manipulated, politicized, and used for the worst kind of propaganda, unfortunately. It doesn't help that artists themselves are an interesting bunch. It is very easy to pretend and fake that you are a genius just because some of the great ones were a bit eccentric. A poser mimicking their behavior is not automatically a Michelangelo. I'm always suspicious about the star artists who ride a wave and cash in. Tom Wesselman's many versions of the Great American Nude may have provided a good income for the artist, but what great insight and wisdom can you impart by painting nipples and other things hundreds of times? Great artists with a vision often challenged societal norms and conventions. They were a bit ahead of everybody. Often they provoked people and got them thinking. Some artists use this as an excuse. They are busy rebelling, pushing the boundaries and tearing down the old edifice, but forget a little thing: creating timeless beauty. Duchamp's historic and groundbreaking urinal is not a masterpiece, it's just an idea. And Catalan's 18-carat toilet is not the Sistine Chapel either, it's just a bad joke, nothing more. During COVID, the Art Gallery of Ontario launched Zoom art classes for kids. Attempting to check all the desirable identity boxes, the Zoom host looked like a caricature of a Caribbean mulatto woman. She wore an over-the-top African queen getup, boasted with her native Canadian roots, and came across as a two-spirited, gender-ambiguous person. She had the air of a cool and super relatable art expert. I was supplying in a grade 3 class at the time. Within a couple of minutes, this grotesque creature lost her audience simply because she didn't have anything interesting to show to the kids. And her monologue was peppered with big words pertaining to colonialism, oppression, and social justice. Her woke talking points would have been lost even on high school kids. I cannot find the original video, but here's another one just as good.
Sego, Skanangoa, welcome everyone to AGO Virtual Schools program. We are going to begin with some introductions. So I'm going to introduce myself in the language for those who are new to me. So Sego, Skanangoa, Malaika Wairi, Amali Gadhag Aswe. So the land that the AGO is on is Michi-Sagi Anishinaabe territory, Mississauga.
Instead of oohing and eyeing the kids and opening their eyes to the wonders of great art, this professional activist chameleon turns the kids off. And in my humble opinion, she's not an ideal spokesperson for our indigenous peoples either. There's a little art gallery north of Flagstaff, Arizona, at the Cameron Trading Post. The collection is curated with great expertise. The stunning masterpieces speak for themselves, but when the place is not busy and the owner gives you a tour, it gets 10 times better. His in-depth knowledge of native art is second to none. But, oops, he is an average-looking, older, white guy. He knows his stuff so well that he can teach it. And I know that the kids would eat out of his hands. It's impossible for me to come up with a top 5 list, but here is some art that reaches out to me and draws me in. Picasso's Rose Period, the Arlequins family. I was a refugee in Austria when I became a father. As a young immigrant to Canada, I had the responsibility to look after the treasures life trusted me with. I was the Arlequin. I love Monet's Folie Bergère girl. Now leave me alone with the Marxist theories about her alienation. To me, she's beautiful, unspoiled, full of potential, a girl to die for. She's the one who can become your soulmate, and she's a keeper. I love artists who have a funny bone and notice things that are wacky, amusing, or fascinating. This is Hokusai. You can tell that he had a wicked sense of humor. His sketchbooks are endless fun. This is his raccoon dressed as a monk. Now, who would think of that? Breuil's Proverbs, the wild imagination of Bosch, a time travel to Venice with Canaletto. Fun, fun, fun. E.J. Hughes is a unique Canadian painter. He had a photographic memory, and I have seen his coded sketches with numbers and labels for paint values. When he went ahead to paint the actual picture, it was more like a construction process. Hughes's paintings tell me that there's beauty everywhere. I don't need to move to British Columbia. I can go to Lake Scugog and the beauty is there, waiting to be discovered. Uncle Tanguay. This old guy, everybody's grandpa, helped the starving artist Van Gogh with paint and supplies. A lot of people helped me along on my journey, and they didn't ask for anything in return. I cannot thank them now. I cannot leave behind a lovingly painted portrait of them. So the best option I have is to become everybody's beloved grandpa. And here's the fascinating Venus of Willendorf. If you need to ask why this one is fun, it's not for you. I can imagine that I'm holding this tiny little statuette and I connect with our prehistoric ancestors. And I'm kind of proud of them. In art, there is something for everybody. There is something that speaks to you, and it may not be the star attraction in a museum that the bucket list tourists clamor to see. It's out there. When it comes knocking on your door, let it in. Let art do its magic.